As Greece struggles with its massive debt and rampant unemployment, some are calling for the return of technocrat leaders to Athens. These kinds of leaders who have backgrounds in economics and finance may hold the key to saving the Greek economy. So what exactly is a technocrat, or technocracy? Well, technocrats, in the general sense, are technical experts who hold political office. They differ from regular politicians because they have more specialized expertise in non-political fields. Usually, these academic professionals function as advisors, but in a technocracy, they themselves rule. They are often elected for their specific skills that complement whatever crisis a nation is going through. Technocracies are heavily associated with communist governments, although the political philosophy was also briefly popular in the United States during the Depression era. In the Soviet Union, beginning in the 1930s, many engineering experts were promoted into political leadership, creating what might have been the first technocratic government. Today, there are no truly functioning technocracies. China, however, is sometimes called a technocracy because their leading political party is an elite group of experts from many fields. For example, China's current president obtained degrees in chemical engineering and law before entering the political sphere. And his predecessor, Hu Jintao, was originally a hydraulics engineer who moved up the ranks within the Ministry of Water Conservancy and Power before entering politics. Technocrats tend to have the most success in the short term. In 2011, Italy and Greece elected new prime ministers who had specific expertise in economics and finance. They made the hard decisions and budget cuts that were necessary at that time. But since those decisions were unpopular, the Greek and Italian technocrats were ousted once their terms were up. In theory, technocracy works because technical experts can use their knowledge to address a direct problem without getting bogged down in the surrounding politics. However, according to analysts, many technocrats lack real-world insight into the lives of the general population. Additionally, by not playing into politics, technocrats lose out on political favors and a broader understanding of a complicated situation. As a result, the actual implementation of their rules and regulations may not take into account issues outside of a technocrat's field. Therefore, career politicians who have long been involved in the mainstream political sphere tend to have more rounded success in long-term leadership. Technocracies have often been associated with communism. But what is communism? To find out more about that, check out one of our most popular videos here.
In particular, Marxism is focused on the exploitation of the worker. It's based on the idea that any profit generated by the worker but instead goes to the business owner is a form of inequality and should be abolished.
When Elias Brotberger goes to work, he doesn't need ID. And he doesn't need money. In fact, much of what he needs to get through the day is hidden right there, just below the surface, in his hand.
You like to touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, weird. Yeah, it's like a grain of rice.
Yeah, a grain of rice.
Embedded in his hand is a microchip that serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Yeah, it's all in chip, so I use it like to get around the building.
Buy snacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's buy some snacks.
Exactly.
So I can't open it.
No.
Okay.
So what I need to do is I need to first blip my chip, and it will log me in, and from there I get access to the fridge.
Popular TV shows like Black Mirror have imagined chips as part of a dystopian future.
Install ingrained procedure with local anesthetic and you're good to go.
In Sweden, the microchips are already here.
The microchip implants use the same technology that's in contactless credit cards,
which have made cash pretty much obsolete in Sweden.
No cash.
At this tech fair, a chipping event for those on the cutting edge, merging their hands with this new technology.
I thought it would be fun, right?
The process is simple and swift. A pinch of the skin, and in a matter of seconds, the chip is inserted. The transformation is complete. As for the pain,
I barely felt it.
But even in this nation of early adopters, not everyone is racing to get chipped.
Feel less human. I will feel like a robot.
I think, it's so much more data can go into this, when it's in your body.
There's no central registry tracking how many people are chipped, but biohacker Hannes Wellblood estimates between 5 and 10,000.
In the future, do you think everyone is going to be chipped?
I think it'll be voluntary, but I am certainly convinced that millions of people will find it very, very valuable to have a smart device under their skin.
Human microchipping may be our future, but in Sweden, it's already reality. Sarah Harman, NBC News, Stockholm.
The British government is set to make something mandatory. that will reshape how everyone works and lives in the UK, a compulsory digital ID. Now, rights activists are calling it a dangerous step towards mass surveillance. Supporters are calling it a leap into a more efficient future.
On the 26th of September, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced the introduction of compulsory digital ID cards for people who work in the UK.
Today, I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
The new digital ID scheme is aimed towards stopping illegal workers in the shadow economy, while also ensuring fairness in the immigration system. The government says the digital ID will be stored on mobile phones and will become a mandatory part of employer checks when hiring staff. Over time, the digital ID scheme could also expand to childcare, welfare, tax records and other public services. Now, let us first understand what exactly is a digital ID. A digital ID is a form of electronic identification, usually stored on a phone or smart card. Unlike a traditional passport or a driver's license, it doesn't just prove who you are in person, it can also authenticate your identity online. It works by linking your personal details like your name, age and address to a verified digital profile, often backed by biometric data such as fingerprints, iris scans or facial recognition. A digital ID can be used to access government services, healthcare, education, banking and even voting in some countries. Supporters argue that a digital ID makes life simpler, offering one login for multiple services, faster benefits and less paperwork. They also point out that it could reduce fraud by making it harder to fake identities. But critics, including civil liberty groups, warn of risks to privacy, government misuse and the potential for mass surveillance. According to an Ipsos poll in July, 57% of Britons support a national ID scheme. But about 3 in 10 are worried about personal data being misused, sold to private companies or stolen in security breaches.
We all need to do whatever we can to support the government to manage immigration, and identity cards are a way of doing that.
I just don't see the point of not having them, because we have ID all the time with driving licenses, often carry our passports around. So yeah, I don't have a problem with them.
I think it puts emphasis on the experience of kind of asylum seekers and immigrants and migrants to this country, when often they're just trying to live life and do things and get on like we all are. So
yeah, I think it comes with a huge number of pitfalls. I think it needs to be looked at very, very carefully, because I think there are huge implications. I think there are particular bonuses to it, but I think there are huge implications ethically as well.
The digital ID scheme is expected to come into effect right before the next UK election, which is due in 2029. As the UK gears up to make digital IDs mandatory for all UK citizens across the globe, similar schemes already exist. India operates the world's largest digital ID program called Aadhaar. Launched in 2009, Aadhaar assigns every resident a unique 12-digit number linked to their biometric data such as fingerprints, iris scans and a photograph. As of 2025, more than 1.3 billion people have been issued an Aadhaar number, making it the most extensive digital identification system on the planet. And just last month, Switzerland approved a plan to introduce voluntary digital ID scheme. Other countries including France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Denmark, Australia and Singapore also run nationwide digital ID schemes. Britain's plan places it among a growing list of nations betting on digital IDs as the backbone of modern governance. However, the road ahead will not be an easy one. If concerns over privacy and surveillance aren't addressed, the plan could, in fact, face resistance before it even gets off the ground.
Australians are happy to tap and go. Now the government wants them to tap and show.
What we want to do is make life easier, allow your credentials to be at your fingertips and keep your personal information safer.
A digital ID called TEX linked to MyGov, removing the need to hand over passports, driver's licences, birth certificates for companies to store and too often lose to hackers.
The Optus incident, one of the first on a large scale, showed why we have to do things differently.
The information will be heavily encrypted, so no sensitive data is shared or stored, using a QR code and a simple tap to verify ID for hotel bookings, hiring cars, signing up for phones and more.
This is really a game changer in putting citizens at the centre of their identity management.
The TEX system will use personal data already stored on MyGov and send a digital receipt of all information shared and with whom. The chance of fraud reduced, but not entirely removed.
Some people will go and try and create false MyGov identities. We're trying to strengthen all of the issues against that.
The TEX system is in the final stages of development with the aim of being rolled out next year. Using it, though, will be optional. Google and Telstra are helping develop the technology.
TEX will be time-saving. It'll be money-saving.
The opposition raising questions.
Mr Shorten's talking a big game, but let's wait and see whether he can actually deliver.
Saying tap and show is a wait and see.
I'm going to show you how the government's going to take over your social media accounts and your other government services for a social credit score. So right now, when you log into Twitter, you can sign in with an email address and password, or you can choose what we call an identity provider, such as Google or Apple. And then you'll be able to log in with your Google account and sign into this platform. The government's introduced digital ID to sign into your MyGov account right now. But I think the plan is to put this across every other account that you do have. How are they going to do this? Well, the government wants to be the identity provider to someone like Rosie, who is a person like you or me, and provide access to all the services. So they're currently doing this right now with one of the platforms, MyGov, but I assume it's going to happen to your social media and your other types of accounts. That means if the government wants to, they can block your access to your identity and to any of the sources, or any of these sources individually. So why would anyone do this? Well, right now with the social media ban, the government is forcing all of these companies to collect data about people, which is increasing their risk quite a lot. So they don't want to do that. So the government will say, well, instead of signing in with these platforms, just sign in with your digital ID, and all the social media platforms will say, wow, now I don't have to collect any data, this is a lot better for me. And everyone will say, oh, now I only have one username and password to log into everything, so this is way more convenient.
From now, if you try and access stuff online that shouldn't be seen by children, you could be presented with a screen like this, a proper age verification check. And if you've got an under 18s account on social media, your feed should now be full of far less harmful content. Why is this all happening? Can this system really help protect children online? And does it work? I'm Mickey Carroll, and I've been covering the build-up to these landmark rules for the internet being enforced. I've been speaking to families who have lost their children after they were exposed to harmful content.
He should be 18 on Sunday, and he's not.
I've asked the government and regulators how confident they are this will work.
The safety of children online is going to take the biggest step forward since the creation of the internet.
Tried out the age verification tech that the government's relying on to block children accessing harmful content.
I look creepy, but I look like a real person.
And I've even watched ethical hackers stress testing this new system.
Just got around it.
Now the day has come, but it's not as simple as the government just flicking the switch.
Basically, it's a form of an open prison, really, because what happens is that you end up having yourself digitised into a big, huge database. And there doesn't seem, as far as I can see, to be any way of siloing this data. All that will happen is that all your data will be known by government departments and their offshoots and any contractors they use. And I'm really worried that what happens then is that by mission creep, we end up with a situation where the powers that be can keep clamping down on people, stopping them doing what they want to do, stopping them buying things if they've already overgone their allowance, as it were, on whether it be meat, alcohol, fuel for your car, travel, number of airplane flights you take. Everything can all be monitored and can all be dealt with and stopped Now, I'm a human, I make mistakes, I make errors, I've got wants and needs, and I want to get on with my life. And as long as I don't encroach on anyone else, then I should be allowed to get on with it. But what we're now saying is that the human race, everybody, everything you do, instantly encroaches on everybody else. So therefore, you must be stopped in doing what you're doing. That's totally unhuman. It's inhuman. It's satanic, actually. I don't like it. And we've got to, really have got to put the mockers on it. Really have.
I mean, this is a global occurrence.
It's not just the UK. In fact, when you look at it, the EU is now hardening up on its stance with ID cards, and they're looking at giving it to, in fact, they already can give an EU form of an ID system to children. And that's why Keir Starmer is now looking at 13-year-olds having the digital ID. It's coming for veterans, it's coming for company directors, and that means in the end that it'll spread out from there. It'll spread out to not just veterans on a military pension, it'll be all pensioners, whatever sort of pension you've got. And if you want to open a bank account, if you want to even enter into a shopping precinct, you know, the whole thing is just going to turn into swiping your card at every corner of the street for safety, for your safety, so we know where you are. And how long before that the grid is so controlled that you won't even have to swipe a card? You'll just walk and you'll be tracked. Yeah, whatever it might be.
Some people, but I just won't have a smartphone. But if you have networks such as 5G, you have facial recognition, you cannot opt out.
Well, no,
you don't need a device.
But the thing is, if you do opt out, the authorities will be looking for people who opt out so they can get them to opt in forcibly. And that's another fear I have. If someone decides to go and buy a lump of, I've got a lump of land, I'm going to put a caravan on it, I'm going to live there, there's a stream, I'm going to fish, I'm going to raise some chickens. All the authorities have to do is compulsorily buy your property. Compulsory purchase. And there's nothing you can do about it. So I do wonder where this is going. Total grid control. The trouble is the people who are putting it in place somehow think they'll be immune. But they won't be, because at the end of the day they will be captured by their very own trap.
There's a saying, there's no space on the ark. Right?
No, yeah.
Well, last thing I'll ask about is, so China has this system and they have a social credit score, but I think what they'll do here, because they speak about it in the WEF conferences, they'll have a carbon score. So you'll have carbon credits. It'll be based on that metric.
It's carbon credits. It's things like, were you nice to your neighbour credits? And did you say something nasty on social media credits? And if you haven't got those credits that say you're good on social media, you're nice to your parents, you're nice to your neighbours, if you haven't got that, you don't get social credits. Now, that means it doesn't matter how much money you've got in the bank. No social credits, no spendy money. And that is where we're at. Everyone, instead of earning money, will be trying to earn social credits. Think about that. They will be looking to... social credits is the new money, because without it, you can't buy and sell anything. And I don't think people have actually realised that either in the big scheme of things. So yeah, worries me intensely, really does. And nothing I hear from Keir Starmer or this government gives me any confidence, especially when he says it's going to be mandatory to have this to get a job. That's the start. And he's only doing that as a reaction to what's going on in... with the immigration system, people coming over, working on the underground economy, or even in the open economy, but with not paying taxes, not paying insurances, borrowing other people's licenses, and all this sort of thing. Because I do have to wonder how many of them do actually have a license to operate a delivery motorcycle. You know, you have to have lived here for a certain amount of time to even qualify to have one.
Do you not think that's just the excuse they're using?
Yes.
Obviously, Tony Blair tried to push this through.
Yes, it is just an excuse. Absolutely just an excuse. And it's, well, you've seen who's at the head, haven't you, here with March, David Icke. He came out with that sort of problem, reaction, solution thing. And is he right? I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, is he right? You know, problem, there's the problem, here's the reaction that you're making, you want something done, and here's our solution.
Blind.
ID cards, isn't it wonderful? Yeah.
What could regular people do? Because like, obviously, a lot of people are not really, I don't think they're aware of the absolute threatless dangers of having the ID card. They just see the convenience. So like, once they start hearing about it, looking into it, understanding what it is, what can regular folk do? What can people do?
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? This really is the problem. Because if you think about it, people are going to be frightened not to comply because their job's at risk, they're told, and all the rest of it. Now, if you go on to massnoncompliance.org.uk, you'll find a list of stuff about the sort of things that's going on and what you can do. But it's going to take, I'm afraid to say, this is one of these situations in history where it's going to take a bit of courage and bravery to save the country. So, yeah, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I had a message that I froze for a while, and now it's come back on again. Just keeping an eye on what's going on. It's a bit difficult here. We've got lots of people live streaming. I'm doing the best I can. If it does freeze, just please stay with us. I've got a little device in my pocket which hunts for the best signal it can, and it takes a second or two. So anyway, sorry.
Sometimes there are dead spots.
Yes, and there are dead spots.
There are dead spots.
Yeah, so we might be going through a dead spot.
So there's the website.
Sorry?
There's the website.
Yeah, so that website, you go on there and it's run by Fiona Rose Diamond, who's actually leading the parade. She's very good, isn't she? She's got a lot of energy, more than I've got, that's for sure. So go on her Twitter page. If you go on her Twitter page, you'll see a lot about this and a lot of resources about, excuse me, I'm just trying to get past the front. Oh, here we go. That's right. Yeah, that's the front there. Back to the front. We got there in the end. It only took us 10 minutes. Yeah, so there you go. That's why I'm frightened of it, and I want it stopped. I do. I really do. I don't mind having individual systems to go into individual departments in government, but this overarching idea that suddenly you can't get a job and it's mandatory, that begins to send big alarm bells.